and the settlement of the western United States goes hand in hand, and that is where the story of Hurricane Utah begins. The Hurricane Canal is the foundation story of the city of Hurricane itself. Without the water the canal provided, there would be no hurricane, just a vast desert landscape. As early as 1865, surveyors said a feat such as the construction of a canal to provide water to the hurricane bench was impossible. But in 1893, a group of settlers from towns further up the Virgin River, seeing the large tracts of land they could farm if water could be supplied, banded together to form the Hurricane Canal Company. Unlike other projects, this didn't have any funding. Canal workers literally paid for the canal with their work and with the promise of 20 acres to farm once it was completed. Using only rudimentary hand tools and dynamite, they began constructing what would become a 7-mile ditch clinging to the gorge above the Virgin River into what is now the future town. As you can imagine, construction of the canal was difficult, with much of the work being completed between November and May, when the pioneers' own farm work was less demanding and the heat was less. As most projects go that are of great importance, they started to run into some financial difficulties. When all seemed lost, the company president traveled to Salt Lake City, Utah, to convince the LDS Church to invest $5,000 so the work could continue, otherwise the project would not. Thankfully, the church did. The stimulus of the Mormon church support and the $5,000 cash were sufficient to renew the spirit and the treasury of the company, and new work began. On August 6, 1904, 11 years after the canal project began, water flowed over the dam spillway, through the canal, and onto the Hurricane Bench. Since this project was completed, the town of Hurricane was settled in 1906 and continues to grow to this day. As all cool pieces of history go, this canal was the main source of water until it became obsolete in the late 1980s when pressurized irrigation was installed. However, its importance to the community has not been forgotten. Today, we are going to go on a hike to see this amazing wonder that brought life to this part of Utah. Once parked, it is clearly marked where the trailhead is, and you can start hiking to the canal. Before you start on your journey toward the canal, we highly recommend checking out the names of the builders who were building this canal way back when. They also in this area have some of the equipment that was used during that time frame to give you real perspective on how tough this project really was for the settlers. There's also some detailed history of the area and the project that we've already explained previously. Once you've taken all the history, you are ready to start the historic canal trail. As you can see, the surface of this trail is rather plain and nothing too complicated to walk on. You'll have little history markers along the way to remind you of who has come before you. As you can see Everett walking here, it's just a dirt path with a little bit of rock and gravel mixed in. Before you know it, you'll come to the road crossing. Make sure to look both ways as you cross the street, since this road can be busy during certain times of the year. Once across the street, it'll feel like you're walking through the middle of someone's backyard or orchard as it may be. On either side of you is private property, so please be respectful as you walk through this area. Quickly you will emerge from this and you'll be walking on a bench above the hurricane area. As you can see, this little bench part can be a little bit narrow, so you'll want to watch your footing since there are some of those rocks that might be in the way for some visitors. As you're walking, pay attention to some of the sights along the way. As you can see here off to the left, there is a little storage basin that was used as part of the canal project. The basin has deteriorated since then, but it's a nice reminder of how big and how much water used to flow through this area. After a few different bends, you'll finally reach this area that has the concrete left from the canal. The hiking path again gets a little bit narrow here, so you'll want to watch your footing since there is some plant vegetation in the way. After you reach this concrete section around the next bend, you'll finally see the main attraction of this trail. That bridge up ahead will lead you to one of the tunnels that the canal would flow through, and that looks like it's going to be kind of cool to see. Once you reach the bridge, you'll have an important decision to make. You can turn around here and go back the way you came now that you've seen the historic canal, or you can be adventurous and go inside.
I think you're fine. Ooh, kind of bows just a little bit when you walk. Makes you feel fat.
Oh, Lord. Careful from bears, lions, and rattlesnakes and hobos. We have to walk through this, Mom?
No, this is where it stops.
Oh, good. I don't want to go over that, do you?
Nope. This is the end of the trail, Everett.
You could walk through it. Not going to walk through it?
No. Because it's just creepy enough.
Alright, let's do it.
After walking in a ways, we quickly found out why we didn't want to be in here in the first place. Here we go.
It's a cave-in.
Alright, go, go, go!
Go back to
Get out of here, this is creepy.
Right.
Go, Everett, go now. It's a good cave in again.
Right? I'm not good with underground things.
I'm not either. Yeah, I don't like this.
Yep. Don't recommend going inside.
Turn the light off. It was nice and cool in there.
It was. So, we just came out of the canal. And I'm not a big fan of being underneath the earth, so. And there was a cave in at the end, so that just like initiated my fear even more about being underground. So, if you don't like being underground, just stay on the outside.
The construction of the Hurricane Canal is one of Utah's earliest, proudest stories of pioneer determination. The completed canal brought water to over 2,000 acres of parched bench land and created a now successful city of Hurricane, Utah. If you enjoy adventures like these, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And we hope to see you out there on the trails soon. Bye for now.